It's finally happening. The long-awaited debut of Canucks top prospect Jonathan Lakkerimaki is upon us, and this is a highly anticipated debut, which has Canucks fans reeling on if he is going to be the next best winger for this team going forward. And we're going to break everything about Jonathan Lakkerimaki down and much more coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, we got to say that, Mark, 91% of the guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, you want to keep up to date on all the news around the NHL, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, Mark, let's just jump right into it here. Obviously, yesterday it was a lot of speculation around whether Jonathan Lakkerimaki was going to be called up. He did get called up, and we've seen that he's anticipated to play in this game tonight against the Calgary Flames, and he did practice yesterday with Pius Suter and JT Miller on that top line, also on that second power play as well, which is great to see a guy come up from the AHL and get immediately tossed into that second power play. And obviously today we got confirmed by the NHL on Twitter that he will be starting this game this evening against the Calgary Flames. So far, through his first 7 games with the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL, he has 7 points in 7 games, a point-per-game player, where he has 5 goals, 2 assists. So, Mark, I mean, when you're looking at this guy, he is obviously known for his shot, known for his goal-scoring ability, and it's looking like he's just going to keep dominating this pace that he's been on everywhere in his career here in the NHL.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we've seen Patrick Allvin kind of speak on this just a couple days ago where he said Lekkerimaki was looking like a call-up until he suffered a tiny bit of an injury in practice or during an Abbotsford game. But then we did see him getting called up. This is the Canucks' top prospect. All Canucks fans should know who this guy is. Jonathan Lakkerimaki has been dominant on every stage that he's been in his career. We've seen him starting with Abro HK last year in the Swedish Hockey League. Believe leading his team in goals. This guy was absolute dominant, scoring goals. When he scored, the team won, and that was the big reason why they made the postseason. We also seen him going on to the World Juniors, leading the tournament in goals, winning silver against USA during this tournament, and winning MVP of the tournament as well. Lekkerimaki was dominant on European ice, and then we've seen him come to Abbotsford at the end of last season. We didn't see him get off to the hottest start, but coming into this year with Abbotsford, he has been nothing short of a miracle for this team. We've seen him miss the first couple of games of the season with Abbotsford, but since joining this team, he nearly leads the AHL in shots on goal, despite being 4 games behind on a lot of these guys. We've seen him work his magic on the power play, which he does is pretty much his bread and butter wherever he played. We've seen this in the Swedish Hockey League. We've seen this on international ice. He is awesome on the power play in the bumper spot. And the biggest thing with him making his NHL debut, he's going to get shots on net. This is a guy that we've seen shooting at a high pace, higher pace than most we've ever seen from AHL guys. Is not the most, but he does shoot at a high pace. He shoots from all over the ice. He has a deadly shot, and it really leaves defenders and goaltenders kind of questioning. So him getting in on this top line, his debut is going to be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And it all comes with this guy getting older, gaining that experience, obviously playing in a grown league in Sweden. That definitely helps you at a young age develop into playing against grown men, air quotes, as people love to say. But this guy has looked phenomenal. Like you said, everywhere he's been in his career, and has been a dominant goal scorer at that. And this is the type of guy who reminds me of like an Ovechkin, a Stamkos, an Austin Matthews. Those guys who find their spot. And if you can get a player on your line to feed you open in that spot, it's going in the back of the net almost all the time. He can score from the circle. He can score from the hash marks. He can score from the blue line. He's seen him score everywhere in his career, and it's just very, very exciting for Vancouver Canucks fans right now. But I do want to go back and touch on what you were talking about with the shot attempts that he's putting up. Because if we look at this crazy kind of table here, I'm going to bring it up a little bit bigger for you guys. Pause the video if you want to go through this completely, but as of right now, we see this, that he's leading with shot attempts per 60 minutes in the AHL. And he's above guys who spent time there like Cole Caulfield, Tage Thompson, and the list goes on. So it just shows here that Jonathan Lakkerimaki isn't afraid to shoot the puck. And, you know, like Gretzky says, you gotta shoot the puck. You know, the puck doesn't go in if you don't shoot it. So seeing that he's not afraid to shoot this, and I hope that he carries this over to the NHL with him, which I I think these days, kind of watching hockey, like kind of even in our generation, they looking for more passing plays and finding the right situation to shoot. But you got to shoot the puck on net to get those chances in front, get those rebounds for your grinders in front of the goalie. So I think Jonathan Lakkerimaki is definitely going to help out with this in Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that graph, the draft year +3 guys, there's a lot of good talent on this. I mean, we've seen Tage Thompson on that list in the AHL, shooting at a high clip. We've seen a guy like Daniel Sprong, who was a former Canuck, just traded a few days ago. Even a guy like Cole Caulfield, guys that are loved in Montreal. These players were shooting at a high pace, but Jonathan Lakkerimaki is putting more shots on net. The biggest thing is a lot of people might look at this and say, hey, why is he putting so much on net? But if you're going to shoot from everywhere on the ice, I was actually looking at a graph of his shot totals and where they're from. The entire ice in the offensive zone has shots from him. We've seen him shoot from the left boards, the right boards, from the point, like you said, the hash mark, the face-off circle. This guy keeps everyone questioning, from goaltenders to defensemen, and he's not only limited to goal scoring. We've seen him set up people on beautiful passes. He is an offensive talent. The two-way game might not be there yet, but we're going to see Jonathan Lakkerimaki come into the NHL, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was nearly top 3 on this team on shots on goals tonight, and if he was number 1. I mean, looking at his betting lines, you almost want to smash the over, especially with him being on this top line. But with Lekkerimaki coming in with the total shots, he's going to continue this. This is his game. He's going to get shots on net. Like you said, it's not going to be the situation where you have someone passing too much, overthinking. I believe Jonathan Lakkerimaki is going to come in and get a shot on net on every possible outcome he can. And I will expect him, well, I shouldn't say I will expect him, but I wouldn't be surprised if we seen him get his first NHL goal tonight, especially if Tocchet doesn't shift the lines to drop him down in the middle of the game.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you there. I mean, it kind of comes at a perfect time for the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're more up to date on the Canucks than I am, but didn't Brock Besser just go down with injury? Am I out to lunch there? Yeah, so it comes at perfect timing for the Vancouver Canucks to bring up a young prospect, their top prospect, a guy that Canucks fans and NHL fans in general who have wanted to see him play in the NHL. So now, obviously, it sucks to see Besser go down with an injury because we never want to see players injured. But, you kind of got to make the best out of a bad situation here. By bringing Lekkerimaki up, it's not going to hurt you. I think it can only help him from here, Mark.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. With Brock going down with a predatory hit by Yanner Jeannot, it does suck to get him out of this lineup, but having him not out for the entire season that we know of yet, I mean, I don't think it is. It's currently right now day to day, but could change the week to week. We're going to see a couple of these Absurd guys step up. I mean, Archie Baines just got recalled. We've seen a guy like Atu Ratu come up and stay in this lineup for a little bit. So getting Lekkerimaki up, I know Dakota Joshua's on the brink of returning, and he may steal the spot from him, but we're getting NHL action from the top prospect. I know Tom Willender's a guy that could be considered one of the top prospects as well. But right now, the most polished prospect for the Canucks is Lekkerimaki, and we're going to see him debut tonight, getting top minutes. We're seeing him on the power play. We're going to see full effect on what this guy can bring to this team. I don't want you to look at this game if he does have a bad game and write him off as a prospect. This is his first game, but get excited because this guy's going to wow a lot of people.
Yeah, Mark, I would go out there and say that this is a must-watch game for hockey fans tonight. I think it's not very often that we get to see a guy who's so highly touted make his NHL debut in the middle of a season. So I think if you are at nothing tonight, sit back on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and watch Lekkerimaki go to work, because this kid is something special, and I can't wait to see what he does tonight for the Vancouver Canucks. It's definitely going to be very, very exciting. But before we end the video, Mark, I want to throw one more question to you. I know you just mentioned, like, if he has a bad game, don't write him off. What do you kind of expect out of Lekkerimaki if he does maybe have a bad game, or maybe if he has a really good game? Do you think this is a temporary situation for him, or is this a situation where he can maybe stay here, a bit long term?
I mean, looking at this as a whole, I think regardless, we're not going to see Lekkerimaki stay on this team for the rest of the season. I mean, if he goes out and scores 7 goals tonight, I think they're going to put their hands out and be like, hey, we're going to have to keep this kid up. But looking at Lekkerimaki, I think this is more of a temporary thing. I mean, a guy like Besser is out with an injury right now. Dakota Joshua is trying to get back onto the ice after missing the start of the season with his surgery. So I think it's a matter of time before maybe he gets bumped out of this lineup, especially going into the trade deadline. We may see the Canucks go out and pick up a few new faces, a few new forwards, whatever it may be. And there is a lot of guys fighting for one of these roster spots. I mean, Ratu almost seems like he has a roster spot due to the fact that he can play center. Baines has looked good during his time up. Lekkerimaki we're going to see tonight, but I think he's going to have to really impress to keep management up. I think that the defensive side is what's going to limit him tonight. Maybe he loses a bit of ice time due to it. But the biggest thing is, if he does dominate, I think we're going to see a conversation between fans, between management, between everyone, saying that he does deserve this spot. So it's going to be, time's going to tell, but I do think Lekkerimaki is going to impress, and I think he's going to kind of push the Canucks' hands on keeping him up.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to disagree with there. I'm really excited to see him make his debut tonight. We want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section. What do you think about Lekkerimaki? Is he going to stay long-term, or is this a short-term thing? Love to hear your guys' thoughts that down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. It helps push these videos out to all the NHL and Vancouver Canucks fans on YouTube. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road for 6,000 subscribers here, so we really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed already, you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out a video we did the other day, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.